All right. Hello. Um, we will see if anyone joins us here today. If so, go ahead and add comments and everything. I may see them, I may not. And if not, I will address it next time. I don't know that anyone will join today. That's not really my intention of streaming, which may seem counterintuitive, but let me explain a little bit more about that. So, by way of introduction, my name is Jason. I work in the developer relations, developer experience space. And what I'm doing here is trying out new tools and technologies that I haven't used before, just because I'm curious how it works. I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm not necessarily affiliated. Sometimes I have reasons. Sometimes it's just somebody happened to mention something in some circle, and I was like, hey, I wonder what that is. And I'm going to go take a peek. So, with that in mind, code of conduct, I just want to be clear. The goal here is to be kind. This is work that other people have put a lot of effort into, and making good developer experience is hard work. So I don't intend to disparage or discredit the efforts of anyone. In fact, what my intentions are is to be a little bit growth oriented, to sort of recognize, hey, this is a thing that's working really well, but also some things that are like, okay, this was a little bit rough around the edges, could be improved with a specific product, but it's also a lesson for all of us of saying, like, hey, this is an example of what could go wrong. So just wanted to be clear on some of that. Where this whole thing comes from is it is inspired, and I'm giving a lot of credit to the speaker from an API Days talk back in 2012. And I mean, I think it sort of originates even before that. This idea that you only have 3 seconds in a marketing or communication strategy to really get somebody's attention and make your point. Um, in this case, Ori applied it to software development and APIs and developer experience, right? 3 seconds to really understand what the API is intended for, 30 seconds to find an entry point, and then 3 minutes to create an account, execute a call, and use the result, right? Some people might refer to this as time to hello world. I'm a little more generous than 3 minutes, personally. Some people will even say 5 minutes. I feel pretty much like if I still take 10, 15, 20 minutes, that I'm not completely discounting a tool or technology in that amount of time. So with the show, I'm saying, hey, maybe it's going to take me about 30 minutes or so, give or take. And I'll spend that amount of time and hopefully get to at least some positive result that encourages me down the path to continue exploring with the API. And so some of this is inspired by this notion of customer zero, if you've heard the term, right? It's really about improving the adoptability of whatever tool, library, product you're working on. It's a little bit different than testing something in production. A lot of what we're doing in the show is testing in production, but the idea with whatever you're working on is find someone trusted who can give it a try without that curse of knowledge. The intention is not really quality control. It's actually about saying, hey, take a real life use case or some real world scenario and see how far you can get. And it's okay not to know how to do something, right? Like I'm using these tools, and I'm admitting some ignorance in that. Yeah, I've heard of it, but I've never used it. So, there might be assumed knowledge about what my past experiences are or are not in order to use something. So I think that's a really important thing to consider, is that we all come from different journeys in terms of adopting something. And there is a side of this too, which is creating learning resources. So that is something I think quite a bit when I go through these experiences is, okay, I'm going to learn something one way or another. Can I share that information with someone else? And the way I do this is also this notion called friction logging. Sometimes this is done by keeping a log, like taking screenshots and copying error messages or making a bulleted list of change these things. But friction really is anything that causes frustration. So sometimes that becomes a little bit more challenging to articulate, right? Like, what causes frustration? What is complex or unnecessary steps to achieve an outcome? Something that's not easily understood or difficult to figure out, like, okay, I got to this point. Now what? Was I successful or not? Those types of questions, that's friction that leads to someone to say, like, okay, I'm going to go look at a different tool or different library or different product. So the way to do this always, including someone who has never looked at things before. So like right now, in these little episodes I'm doing, I'm looking at something for the very first time, right? So that's an example where we can learn from that friction of like someone who hasn't been involved with building the thing. But teams can regularly audit health by bringing in other parts of the organization. But one of the key things when I do this on like the day job side of things, and this is not related to my day job at all, but I record the sessions. I feel like yeah, those screenshots, those error messages, that might be the summary, but during the process of actually going through it by recording the sessions, I'm less focused on the logging part and more focused on the how far can I get part and staying in the flow of that experience and just articulating out loud. So when I used to do this type of audit, on other products, or still do, I sometimes I just set up a meeting, invite myself, record it, and that's how I can go back and look and see what happened. So that's why I'm live streaming this. So again, whether I have an audience or not, really it's a recording for me. It's an outlet. It's something to keep me on a schedule as I'm exploring some new stuff. So with that in mind, and again, the 3:33 kind of mindset, I'm doing this at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, sporadically on different days. So to figure that out, I am streaming some different projects I'm working on, some on Twitch, some on YouTube. But you can go to the website, developerxp.com, to find the schedule. What you see is it's a not really a website I spent much time on. It's really just a README text file that I update and push from time to time. But today I'm going to look at Atlassian Forge, and I'll explain a little bit why I decided that. But I'm also coming up, I'm going to be looking at Monite and Ably. So if those are things that are of interest to you, check out the schedule or subscribe or whatever people do these days. And with that all in mind, that preamble, sorry, I rambled on a little bit. Let's go. How do we get started with Atlassian Forge? So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that hopefully some of it is visible. I could go even bigger still, but then I obscure the screen a little bit. So let's stick with that for now. I always forget to start the timer, but I'm going to go ahead and start the timer now, and let's see what happens. So I'll start with why am I interested in Atlassian's Forge? It was inspired by this hackathon, to be honest. Deadline October 24th. Something I might hack at this weekend just to learn a little something. So that is what is inspiring me. So I do have an objective to build something, AI fueling the workplace. And this is Atlassian's tool. I'm gonna assume I have some knowledge, right? So I don't know what Forge is, other than presumably it's something AI related at this point for workflows. I could imagine, given I have been a user of Jira and Confluence for quite some time. In fact, I think it was way back in let's say 2007, 2008, somewhere around that time frame. I was an administrator helping an organization switch from an old request tracker system over to Atlassian. So I became a power user of those tools very early on, and as they've continued to evolve over time. But anyway, that is what I'm looking at. So Atlassian Forge, some sort of AI tool. And there might be some information here that guides me to get started, but that's no fun if I can cheat and have someone tell me how to get started. So I'm just going to Google it. That's usually what people do, or DuckDuckGo. Usually in my other browser, DuckDuckGo is my kind of go-to. But okay, so what am I going to find out about Forge? Is a preferred cloud app development platform for Atlassian, and it's adding new capabilities. So maybe this is where I want to start. I don't have an Atlassian developer account anymore. Maybe I did at one point. I forget. I haven't been an administrator of anything Atlassian for quite some time and several jobs at this point. So I don't necessarily have any of those things in place. So some of this will be unfamiliar with me. So I think this is another example of that customer zero sort of mindset where it's like, I know a few things about Atlassian. I know it's a Java server and some of these things from past experiences on the back end. But and doing some customizations through that means in terms of automating workflows. But it's been quite some time and it changes. So effectively, I am a newbie. So I've got here build with Forge, Atlassian's serverless app development platform for secure, reliable, and scalable apps. Okay. So I do have an organization I work for with an instance of Jira and Confluence and everything. I do software development. I use them all the time. I could think of lots of different ways of automating my workflows that I might want to do. However, uh, that's where this gets interesting, right? When I'm trying something new, I may not be inclined to do it with my production system, or even if I do have a development or staging environment, I kind of want to set up something else so that I don't risk tampering with something I need for real. Or the IT team might maintain that. I might be trying to automate something from my own dev team. So that kind of creates a barrier, right? Like I'm going to have to ask permission to get access to those systems or to install something, excuse me, or to get to the access key. And I want to be informed about what I'm going to ask them for. So I kind of need to see it myself. So I do like right away, start your Forge app is here. But I do wonder how much is going to be assumed about it. But fully functional app in just a few hours, hosting development environments. One of the things I do like to make data-driven decisions. So my use case here, what I'm thinking about, is actually a triage type of workflow. Where a lot of times I've guided teams to say, make sure you put in these labels, and some of it's done as a usability trick to find the inverse, right? So if somebody creates a ticket and doesn't do anything, can I figure that out? How do I find the inverse of what I'm looking for, or create a system so that I can identify them to make sure the right sort of categorization, triaging, those sorts of things happen? So I imagine that is the problem I'm trying to solve here, is actually get a sense of like, what is the spread of information, kind of the statistics widget on Jira, but a little bit more developed. So off the top of my head, that's kind of my mindset of a sort of thing I might be trying to build. Forge helps you focus more on innovation and less on infrastructure. We host, you build, secure by design, UI your way, see what's possible. So the examples sounds appealing to me. I'm glad that they have this. Right off the bat, where my mindset is, I saw serverless, which means, okay, I could probably write functions to do specialized things. But a lot of times I've had to like write full on scripts, use the API, and kind of be complex from a runtime environment, because then I have to go find something within a VPN or whatever to run. So the idea that I could run something on the same platform as an instance of an Atlassian product seems to fit nicely. Examples, a great way to see what you can build. Yeah, because I'm still trying to get a mental model. Early on when seeing something, I didn't necessarily see. I could keep looking a little bit more. There is a marketplace. You know, Other than I'm keying in on this sort of like serverless app concept. Not really sure what the architecture looks like, right? From a, you know, basic getting started perspective. So maybe I'll look over here too. And the reason is I got over here to this example apps. I'm not seeing visuals. I'm just seeing Compass, Confluence, Jira. And it's like, well, I think I know what Jira is, but I don't see a screenshot here necessarily. It's currency exchange app. So I think I kind of suddenly, when I got to that list of examples, I kind of tuned out as like, okay, wait, this is maybe not what I was looking for. Let me go circle back and continue looking. I do like that there's a video here. I don't usually like watching videos, at least not early on. Usually because I know there's a lot of production value that goes into creating these videos. And so it might have been poured over a little bit more of a marketing type message as opposed to something technical. I might not be in a place where I can listen to audio, so skim a sense here of whether, but like all these animations make a really nice video. But suddenly I don't want to watch it because of that, because it's probably not what I'm necessarily looking for, unless I was just putting it on in the background of doing something else. So I love diagrams like this. This is something I do tend to look for pretty early on in evaluating something. So there's a Forge CLI, and I can just install it with npm. So that's nice. I log in, I can create, deploy, install. And it's a question I still maybe have. This does not necessarily answer is where am I installing it to? Um, and this may even come back to maybe I know too much, but not the right things anymore. Do I host my own Atlassian server, or does Atlassian work more like a SaaS now that it's at some other endpoint that is no longer quote on prem, my own data center or my own cloud environment, but somewhere else? And given that, does the Forge install go to an Atlassian.com place, or does it go into my instance and I have to configure that up? Right. So it's this Atlassian site. So, like, does this only work with hosted Jiras and hosted Confluences? Maybe where my question is. This doesn't answer that, but this does go through things. And this comes back to, hey, different people have different experiences. Should I be thinking of this like Cloud Foundry or Heroku or something like that? Or I mean, the Netlify's and Vercels, and that I can just code something up real quick, run a deploy, and it's off and running in a little container somewhere. Probably, I guess. So this is telling me a bit more about the CLI and things like that, which seems like the right place to get started. Though it is always a question, is there a dashboard I would look at for this, or is it all CLI driven? I don't know yet. Then that's okay. I don't necessarily need to know that yet. But I still feel like I want some examples. So this is where maybe I am going to go back. And I saw that marketplace. Maybe the marketplace will give me a better sense. Issue. Whoa, what did that just do? Okay. Took me there. Okay. Create custom fields of type issue picker. Okay. I guess. Link management. I feel like there's So I'm gonna lean toward the AI side of things, partly because of the hackathons maybe inspire me. But like again, I'm thinking of a triage process. I more or less just did something similar manually, trying to figure out like, hey, do I even know all the issues that are out there? What if someone put it in the wrong Jira project or didn't use the label or component I thought they would use? Which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. So I'm thinking, hey, can I apply AI or something automated to do some data validation to bring things in to conform? Because I want to know how big my buckets are if I'm planning out a project or something like that. So AI forms, I guess, would be like auto completion. Maybe I have templates for hey, input all these things when you're submitting an issue. Maybe the AI forms can help automate that in some way. That's not really going to help me with the triage problem, though. Um, anyway, okay. Let's go ahead and sign up. I still feel like, hey, there's got to be something here that is in line with what I want to build. I might have to do a little bit more exploring, but maybe I'm okay and feel pretty confident. I'm already in the Atlassian ecosystem. The idea of running serverless functions there, as opposed to me trying to figure out how to get something I deploy somewhere else, talking to an IT managed system. This seems like a very compelling point of view to me. But oh wait, I don't want to log in yet. I need to start a Forge app. Oh wait. Huh. Okay. Well, that's interesting. This button here, it says start your Forge app. For some reason, I interpreted it right away as a, go sign up. But it probably already assumes I have an account, which is probably true for most people. So I'm going to create an account. I'm going to take this off screen. I apologize. If there's anything interesting around this sign up process, I'll mention it. But we're just going to do that for a second and sign up for an account. I'll have to look at pricing and things like that. Like that, there is maybe a question here around Forge, um, in terms of, you know, is this only available if I'm already a big customer somewhere else, or already have so many instances, or something? Is this an add-on capability, or I don't, or is it something I could use standalone? I don't know why I would necessarily, you know, I almost can't imagine why I would be using this unless I was already using Bitbucket or Confluence or Jira or Trello, maybe Trello, um, or some other tool within their ecosystem. Um, any case, let me go ahead and get this sign up through. First thing it asks me to do is put in an email address. Got a verification code. Now I'm entering a name and picking a password. So we're going to generate a new password. Just give me a moment. Typing things in. It's not as particularly interesting. Okay. Created a password. Great. So now, I suppose there was no other questions. I created an account, and then it took me back here. So, again, that it's probably an unexpected path for a system like this, right? The idea that would come to Forge as the compelling feature to get me to sign up. But on the other hand, more or less, I am here in the sense of I need to create a quick test environment because I don't have that right now, to see if this is going to solve a workflow problem that I'm trying to solve for a team. So what does this mean? So I have access to developer console. So let's take a peek. Okay, welcome back. My shared apps. Need to create a Forge app. Okay. So in some ways, me logging in and creating an app does seem to have me in the right place, and I can create a Forge app. Huh. Wait, what just happened? We're currently offer a number of options for developing apps. Cloud development platform overview. Okay, I'm going to go back and read that, but this create Forge app, that did a thing that I again did not anticipate. It took me back to the main doc page from this dev console. Create and manage your Forge apps. So maybe I can't create one until I have the integration. Let's go ahead and read cloud development options. When building apps for Atlassian cloud products, you have platform and framework options to help you develop secure, full featured apps quickly. 3 main ways to develop: Forge, Connect, external app scripts, and integrations. So similar to what I said, this feels like the path I know. I don't know that I've experienced Connect before. That does not feel familiar, unless maybe that's where you would do like a Slack integration or GitLab or GitHub sort of thing. I don't know. And then Forge being a third path. All right. Well, okay. Now that's my assumptions. Let's see if how accurate or incorrect I am now that I go here. Yeah. So Forge is hosted by Atlassian. So to that point, not on-prem, whereas Connect, right, is hosted by you. Right. So to me, that is the compelling thing. So what is the cost to me? Does that mean, depending on, my company policies for any given company. Companies at a larger size that have a lot of IP or concerned about that sort of thing are probably less inclined to have hosted cloud apps as sort of a default resting state, and wanting to keep it all under one managed location. But on the other hand, even big enterprises do, so like, but like for something like a Jira, because it's so tied to um, building software that might be fundamentally the intellectual property that want to be trademarked or patented or whatever. The point is, unless you're doing open source development, in which case, hey, then hosting it on Atlassian as an issue tracker that other people can submit would be a great thing. Anyways, so Forge hosted by Atlassian. Unclear to me whether I could use Forge if I did have my own hosted instance, but that's okay. UI extensibility in product UI modules, product APIs, still REST and JavaScript APIs. I'm hoping something about Forge is going to make this actually really easy for me to manage keys and things like that. Would be nice, or the auth side of things. Node.js functions, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It might be nice to be able to do Python here too. When I think about like workflow automation or data analysis, like I would want to do in sort of a triage environment, I can imagine that might be a limitation. But I don't know yet. Jira and Confluence. So yeah, if I were trying to do source code behaviors, that seems like something I'm not going to be able to do. So for my use case, that's okay. I'm going to say I'm glad the Dash developer console pointed me to this, though, because it takes me back to okay, I didn't find what I was looking for here, but it did take me to a place to help answer, and me to go back to this evaluation kind of question of, is this the thing I need or not? Forge in 5, so back to the 3 to 5 minutes. Maybe I do have to watch this. So the way I'm sharing my screen, there's no audio going to play through. I'm going to hear the audio, which could be a little unusual. But it's talking about baking cakes. Okay. So it's using a baking a cake analogy, I guess. Oh, actually, go away. More videos. This might be the thing I'm looking for too, right? Well, no, this blank, no repositories. I was getting the sense of like, hey, yeah, what are the components I would need to use for this sort of thing? Um, hmm. Okay, so this is the same video. No. Hmm. And was that the same video I started with way back when? All right, so hey, so I went up here. For, would this be server documentation? Um, yeah, I forgot some of these other products. The Forge isn't here, okay, so it's not in the server area. Maybe over here. Huh. Okay, well, there. It was a little hidden there in the menu to get me back here. And maybe that's okay. Um, this is interesting. So I'm looking back through the introduction. I'm like, okay, let's start top down. Certainly, people who are getting started, you want to accommodate different user ways of thinking. Some people are just like, "Hey, just show me the code. I'm going to go modify the code and call it a day." Some people, myself, I probably consider myself part of this type of learning that I do tend to be a little bit more methodical. So the longer there are steps, the more time it takes for me to kind of ramp up. I'll probably develop a much more complete understanding of it all, but it takes me a little bit longer doing that path. So so I am liking that there's the introduction here and everything. Although this is sort of surprising me a little bit because of what I saw before, which is that a Bitbucket Hello World app, which I thought was not possible. It's not what I want to do anyway, but I'm thinking about the possibilities, especially from a triage point of view. Um, so I was thinking that this was not something I could do with Forge, but that seems to put it back on the table. Um, okay, so it's clear this first page is the about. Again, I do 73,600 apps created, 13,000 active dev community members. Those are all nice proof points. I do always like to, if I'm adopting something, you want to know that it's not just, you know, two people in a garage hacking on a thing and going to disappear because suddenly it's football season or something. I don't know. So let's go back. Maybe the Jira Hello World app is really the thing I'm looking for because it is a little bit closer to the use case I had in mind. Walk you through creating a sample Forge app for Jira. This page describes creating, changing, and installing a simple Hello World app. Call a Jira API. Change the front end with UI kit. Okay, complete getting started. Okay, I feel like I'm gone around in a circle, but okay, let's. This is a fair point. Maybe I do need to come over here and get running something. I'm gonna bring my IDE back over. Um, and there we go. We'll just arrange things a little bit here. So sorry, this might make a little bit harder to read if you're following along on the screen. Installing the Forge CLI. All right, let's do that. Maybe I need more. npm. Do I want to install it globally? Probably not yet. Install it. We'll see if that works. I know I'm already kind of diverging from what they actually have listed here. Okay. Forge. Um, I guess maybe I should. It's one of those things I say sometimes I should get in the habit of running everything through so I don't worry about installing things. But all right, I'm fine with installing it global. I don't want to look up how to run it in this directory. I know there's a way, but I forget off the top of my head. So we'll go ahead and install it globally, and then we got version 6.2. In this case, I trust Atlassian to have good intentions, good reputation. So installing something globally seems fine to me. All right, so success. I got it installed. Log in with the Atlassian API token. Okay, so I have to go manage my tokens. I don't have any yet. Whoops. So Let's go ahead and create a token for this. Go forward, hello world. Label is short, memorable, and easy to remember. Okay, I'm going to copy that. Okay, I like that there's an example there. It seems that I already follow that convention of dash names already, but create, copy to clipboard, close, log into the CLI, start using Forge. Do not use sudo or root when running Forge. I appreciate that as a good policy in general. Um, Start the process by running Forge login. Okay, we're continuously working to improve the developer experience. CLI usage helps. Select yes below to agree to the collection of analytics. Reporting telemetry data about what I'm doing. In this scenario, I don't really have a problem with that. It's probably just some minor things, but I'm going to say no anyway. Sorry, Atlassian. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of data. I may not be your intended user, even though. All right, so I have to put in an email address, and then I can paste my token. And now I can run Forge Create to start a new app. Okay, that's nice. Okay. Back to that. So I'm logged in, and this does tell me about the data collection policy and all those sorts of things, and a link to the relevant privacy policy. It's actually pretty thorough in terms of this set of instructions and thinking through, and it's consistent. Either this process has been the same or if it's changed. Either way, it's been maintained. So kudos for that, for sure. The Forge CLI, yeah, the Forge CLI uses the keychain. Da 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 da. Okay, that's just for info. Doesn't imply anything I have to do. Environment variables to log in. Wait. Well, I'm not sure I need to know this yet in getting started, so I'm just going to skip over that. All right, set up a test site. To install and test your app, you'll need to create a test site for it. For Confluence and Jira apps, you need an Atlassian Cloud Developer site. So for Bitbucket, a shared Bitbucket team space. That's fine. Jira, oh, and it doesn't support cross-product apps. That's okay. Jira and Confluence, set up a cloud developer site. Creating an Atlassian Cloud Developer site allows you to install and test your app with Confluence. That's exactly what I was talking about a little bit before. I was hoping there was a process for me to create something so I can test what I'm doing before I compromise anything real. So I'm actually kind of impressed that this is the way they're actually recommending already. So if I go to this site, I guess I can close that for now. Oops. Oh, wait. Am I able to log in? Yeah. Okay. Um, Create a site using, once your site is ready. Okay. So let's get my Jira project spin up. A quick one. Is this what it wants me to do? Create a site using the image. So it's not giving me a whole lot of details, but like I do think. Um, Wait. Um, is this where I need to go to create the site? Sorry, it's been a while. I think I might have even created one once upon a time. Okay, creating an organization. I clicked something that did the right thing. Um, I don't want to do that now, so let's close that. Yep, select that. Nope. Okay. Wait. I don't think this is what I wanted. I creating a Yeah. So this, I mean, it speaks to a dependency that I'm already in the Atlassian ecosystem. And while I have not done this. I've had an IT department do this for me. But of course, the IT department's not going to add my team's special handling service. So this is an example of having a getting started. Like, it gets really complicated. Like, it's just hard to do a thing like this when you have larger organizations. You have different people in specialized roles, and you need a series of steps to happen by different users. So hence, I have not done this in more than 10 years, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Um, huh, maybe Jira Service Manager. No, no, that's not what I want. See, I don't really, I don't know that I want that, right? I'm just trying to have a sandbox environment for now. Um, okay. So I know I'm just kind of clicking things around quite a bit. Okay, here we go. Anyone's watching this, creating Jira issues for me. I may or may not actually do them. I got enough work as it is. Okay. Uh, what type of team do I work? I don't want to answer questions right now. I think these questions are fair for someone signing up, or if I was not coming in through the Forge side where I'm basically trying to create a sandbox. So I'm kind of ignoring them all. So apologies to the marketing team that's going to get all those non-answers. If anyone from sales contacts me, I'll say thank you. I'm a small shop right now. I'll let you know when I have revenue to change things, or I could disclose other company I work for, that kind of thing. But anyways, once your site is ready, log in and complete the setup wizard. Okay. Um, yeah, let's just do Kanban for now. Although, yeah, it's fine because I really the app is more of a Jira um, triage app. But okay. Um, yeah, I'm gonna explore by myself. I may change my mind later. I want to come back to this. So is there a way? Yeah, so there is a quick start here. I see that I was able to make it not obscure my screen, but also can access it again. So I do appreciate that. So thank you. Because there might be some elements of the setup that I want to do based on workflows I'm used to or data fields that I'm expecting to be there. So I may need to go create a couple of custom fields in this sandbox that might map to the actual production sort of system. Okay. Well, anyways, so I've succeeded at this getting started step here. Um, and to a certain extent, this Forge getting started, I think, is assuming I'm going to be doing the same thing I actually did. I've got the site, I've logged in, I did the setup wizard, 5 users, sort of one agent, 5 users, I mean, again, the app I have in mind for triage, it's plenty, it's fine. I just need a sandbox. I can skip over this Bitbucket piece, and then next step, you're all set up to build a Forge app in Bitbucket, Confluence, Jira, or Jira. Okay, so now let's do the Jira Hello World. So I guess this is kind of a two-part, right? I got the Forge CLI installed, right? So that was this before you begin. So now I can create my app. Create an app based on the Jira issue panel template. I don't know what that means. I mean, I think I know what all those words mean individually. I don't know what they mean together or if that's like a proper term. Create an app based on the issue panel. It's the word panel that's throwing me off. And what does that mean in this context? But okay. When you create a new app, Forge will prompt you to set a default environment, dev environment, perfect. Navigate to the directory we're going to create the app. Okay, so let's go back to my IDE and do a Forge create. That's what it said to do, right? Forge create. Oops. I'm creating an app in your current directory, a name for your app. And in this case, they're saying Hello World app. So that oh, hey, okay. UI kit category. Okay. So this is a moment I'll take see that there's a custom UI, triggers and validators. I think the triggers and validators is what I really want, but I'll go ahead and do the UI kit thing. And then there's the UI kit 2 preview. I don't know what that's about, but select the Jira issue panel template. Okay, so there are quite a few templates here. They do seem to be alphabetical. Can I start typing Jira? Sort of. So like if I'm typing Jira issue, okay. But it at least got me to the Jira, so I can issue panel. Okay. There we go. It's downloading a template, registering the app, creating environments, installing dependencies. Okay. Um, so go to the Hello World app. The app will okay. Just gonna kind of try to arrange things a little bit here. The app will display an issue panel on all Jira issues, a function that provides the contents of the panel. I kind of this might not be far from what I want, right? Like part of that triage process is it's almost like a checklist, for people to say like, hey, did you do these things? Did you validate? So rather than it being an issue validator that rejects, it's okay to be a gentle nudge. I imagine a lot of organizations that have been using stuff like this might have formal policies written down somewhere. And then maybe if they're lucky, people that join the company read them. Uh, Probably they get scolded when they do it wrong. So having something visible, excuse me, in context, this might actually be a good thing. Um, I realize at this point I'm at 40 minutes after I began this project. So I certainly within 30 minutes, it's hard to say that I've gotten to Hello World yet. But I had to do some setup that might be okay to consider other people would have already done. So we'll keep going. Hopefully within the 30 times 2 or 30 times 3, we'll be up with the Hello World. So I see JSX, YAML file, JSON. Again, it was a node environment. That seemed fine to me. Change the panel title. This app displays the content in a Jira issue module. Um, the app's top level directory, open the manifest. Okay, let's do that. There's the manifest. I got that going. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to zoom in too much. You probably don't. Let's do that. Um, okay. Okay, so title, Hello World app. So I think the direction here is saying, oh, that was too much. Okay. Um, fiends, fiend, fiends. There we go. Right. Fiends, friends and foes. Um, okay. Anyway, so I guess that's the idea here is making a rather trivial change. I feel like I want to do something more than that. I'm gonna so at this point, this is another thing when looking at a getting started guide. It's how long or how complex because I might be like, hey, I only have another 7 minutes before I have to go into a sprint review or whatever, a kickoff, a planning meeting, a one-on-one. So do I have 7 minutes to finish this or not? So installing the app is fine. So this is where now I'm in a skim mode. I was kind of being very methodical, but now I'm kind of in a skim mode, which is probably where a lot of people will start. So Forge, install, deploy. The CLI seems nice. I mean, it seems to be pretty sensible, following conventions that maybe I've seen with other tools. And then I can view my app, create a new Jira issue, and then I should be able to see it. And then deploy app changes. Okay, Forge tunnel. Does that mean like a live preview? Wait, Docker. Wait, what is? Yeah, that's interesting. That tunneling sound. That's not the usage of the term I would have expected. At least that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just is. I would have thought tunneling. Well, I guess the idea that it might be the server talking to my local system and making that connection. So it's whereas to do the live reload. Yeah, what is that? It's okay. Yeah, maybe telling is the right word. I thought when I saw that on the other page, I was thinking that was how the app Forge app would connect to my kind of back end type things. But anyways, okay. Once your app is installed, it will automatically pick up on the minor deployments. All right, so let's go ahead and run through this workflow and just see if I can see the change. And so I made that little modification. Maybe I'll make another one before we're done here. Let's get some space so I can see both at the same time. Forge deploy. It says the app's top level directory, which I'm already in. What is the difference between deploy? Okay. So deploy means I've deployed it to Forge and it's running. That doesn't mean my Jira instance is using it yet. So hence the Forge install is then saying take Jira. That's why it's a two-step process. That doesn't seem reasonable. I don't know if that's accurate. That's seems mental model to me. So yeah, I want to install this into my Jira instance. I have to specify the URL, which do I still have that around somewhere here? This. Um, so I'm guessing it's that. Okay. And then if I come and create an issue, task test if Forge is successful. Success criteria. I can see the. Okay. So if I come look at this, was it? I'm kind of skipping it. It was written in the doc. Okay. Go back. Oh, where was I? It's here, right? Install the app. So I guess this is in some ways I do like the reveal at the end of like, hey, here you go, you did the right thing. But on the other hand, I also like the idea that I know what I'm to expect. We couldn't load all of the actions. I don't know what that means. Okay. So if I look at an issue, close that now. I can close that now. Close that now. But where? Okay. Create a new Jira issue. And the issue panel of that issue, select the button displaying the Atlassian logo. Probably from the template. That makes sense. But do I? Is it this actions menu? Oh, so we hit the 50-minute mark. I feel pretty close, so I'm gonna keep going because we're roughly at time. But where's my hello world? We open it in the sidebar. Does that make a difference? Um, uh-oh. So, okay, what did it install? Oh, ha, that explains it. Okay, now it should be there. Let's try this again. I'm gonna reload this page. I don't know if it would work or not. Oh, hey, there we go. Hello World app. And if I click it, hello world. I think this is where, okay, so let's see if I could change that hello world before I actually sign off. We're close. We're really close to managing it. A little bit more than 30 minutes this time around, but I think we've come a little bit farther. It wasn't a trivial hello world. Like we actually deployed an app and I have a code base and a template I can modify. I didn't just copy and paste. Well, I guess it is still close to being a copy and paste, but that's okay. But the idea here, it says hello world. This is running on Forge Developer XP. Or yeah, let's do that. Let's try this install again. I have to deploy my app. So now that's the question. So now I'm doing a deploy. Do I have to install again? Like if this was running from the server, well, we'll have to find out. I think the guide that was talking about it and the benefit of tunneling would be to be able to see my changes, but part of me feels like should be there already. Um, if it was a server rendered thing, but okay, still there. Hello world, this is running on Forge for Developer XP. Yeah, I didn't have to reinstall it. It might depend on what the change is, on whether I would have to reinstall or not. Like in this case, it's querying the server. So the thing I haven't done here yet, and it's probably a very quick, fast follow, is, let's see if they tell me what's next right at the end of this tutorial. Like, it got me to this point of saying, set up tunnel to go a little bit more. But in the next tutorial, you'll learn how to make API calls to Jira using Forge. That's great. That's exactly the next thing I would want to do to make my app live. Okay. I think this is where I'm going to call it, is success in terms of onboarding. I was able to change the UI to a certain extent. And then once I make the REST API calls from that Forge environment, then the rest is up to my actual use case. Okay. With that, I think there's some really good parts about this that was well thought out with the CLI and everything. So I was happy I was able to get something running, even if it took a little bit longer. Some of that had a lot more to do with the fact that I just didn't have a Jira instance set up ready to go in a sandbox. So I had to kind of fumble around a little bit to get to the right places. But okay, success. All right, with that, that's it. I think I have on the agenda to play around with Monite. I don't know how to say it. I only heard about it once, and I wanted to find out more about it. So that's what I'm going to look at next time. Anyways, hopefully that's interesting to somebody. If nothing else, I'm going to refer back to it because that was kind of my log of the issues I ran into and things that could improve. So thanks. Have a good rest of your day.